So you own a STIHL FS 91R string trimmer, and you've browsed through this, but you're more of a visual learner like I am. Hi guys, Josh with Carl's Mower and Saw, and really quickly today we're going to go over the basics of the STIHL FS 91R string trimmer. You've stepped up to a great machine, a machine that's got a lot of power and gives you a lot of options on what you can run, from different line heads to the polycut head to even running a brush cutting blade. How cool is that? So before we get into it, knowing that this thing has a lot of power and can do a lot of stuff, let's talk really quickly about safety, right? We're gonna have flying stuff. We're gonna be out in the back area of the property, and the grass is this tall and things are just gonna be flying around. So let's go ahead and protect our eyes. And you can get better safety glasses than this at Carl's Mower. And let's protect our ears and face. There we go. This is how I like to go out, and I'm always going to wear long pants. I am not wearing shorts or flip-flops, even though it really looks cool to have those red welts on your legs. Don't do it. So let's get the safety stuff. If you don't have it, pick some up. Let's talk about how we're going to start this machine, what we're going to run in this machine, and then ultimately how we're going to store this machine for the off-season, because there will come a time when this thing's going to be in hibernation. So throughout the year, if you run a fair amount of fuel, you're going to run STIHL HP Ultra Oil, one of these, mixed with 1 gallon of ethanol-free fuel, okay? Ethanol-free, key. Now, if you're somebody who doesn't run through, if you look at this and go, I am never going to use a gallon of gas in a year, then you may want to consider running Moto Mix. Right here is the perfect gas, a fuel that's designed for a long, stable shelf life, something that's going to last for months and months and even years and years. With that in mind, this is how I hibernate my machine. So when this sucker goes away for the winter, come November, and I'm done weed eating for the year, December, January, February, maybe early March, this is what's in it. So heavy users, use this all year long and then go ahead and throw this in for the off season. If you're not a big user that you're only going to go through like a gallon or less, Moto Mix is probably the best way to go for you. Let's fire this baby up. Let's find the fuel tank, which is right here on the rear. Loosen the cap, put some fuel in. Again, remember, mixed fuel, ethanol free. And then our primer is right here on the top. Nice and visible, easy to see. Traditionally 5 pumps. This thing has never been fired up, so I might give it a few more, but really what I want the fuel to be doing is being sucked out of the tank, up through the carburetor and back down, and I can feel that bubble actually get harder as the fuel comes through it. So 5 pumps I just got there. I'm going to give it 1 extra pump. You can't flood it by priming it, okay? So really, honestly, 5 pumps, you're never going to flood it. You can give it 100 pumps. But 2 pumps is usually too few. And then right here on the front is going to be my choke. I'm going to push in and twist, and it's ready to roll on this end. Just key point, though, is my throttle is attached to my choke. So don't inadvertently squeeze the throttle, or I just shut the choke off. And it's going to start really hard, like just a pain in the butt. So choked, primed, hold it. A lot of people want to go down, maybe like this on a knee. Some people want to be like this, up in the air. Whatever works best for you, just make sure that your line head or your brush blade is clear of whatever you're going to hit. So I think it's best to come down like so. Sometimes when they're brand new, they take that many pulls to start. That's fine. This is my first time. And as a purchaser from Carl's Mower and Saw, you did not experience that because we started it for you as you walked out the door before you left. So now that you're home, what you're going to do, prime it, choke it, and you'll find that you're going to just pull it once, and that it's going to fire up that easy. As soon as it started, I hit the trigger, and it dropped the choke off. Okay, so we know how to start it. Let's talk about a few of the maintenance things. I already hit on the fuel for that off-season storage, but throughout the year, there's a couple things we want to do. We want to keep an eye on the air filter, especially as we get into summer and things get drier and dustier and more stuff is flying around. I would say a couple times a year, really a good idea to break out the tool that came with your machine, pull out the 2 screws, and access my air filter. Good light through it. You can see really good through it right now. I can tap it out. Nothing comes out. It's a good clean air filter. If it looks like that or close to that, put it back in. If it's starting to look ugly, stop by and get a new one. It's going to seat in very nice. It's got a kind of a rubbery base to it that's going to sit in the filter housing, keeps the dirt out. Put this cover back on, and good to go. We also have a spark plug that we should check once in a while. And this is going to be a lot less often than an air filter. That's going to be right here on the top. I have one screw I take out. Actually, I don't take it out. I just take it loose. Cover comes off, and spark plug is right here. Be very careful when you're removing this spark plug boot for the first time, because sometimes it sticks and you can end up ripping the boot right off of the wire. So spark plug's right under there, and you'll see one other screw when you're in here. See that little screw right there? Bam. Under here are your valves. And this machine, being a 4-mix machine, does require valve adjustments once in a while. At roughly 150 hours is when you're going to need your first valve adjustment. How does that work? How do I know? I don't have a timer on my machine. I don't keep a log of all of my, maybe you do keep a log, good for you. Most people go out, use this thing for 20 minutes to a half an hour a week, and then they forget all about it, and then they use it again, and then boom, suddenly 5 years later, this thing isn't starting easy. Why is it pulling hard? Valve adjustment. So when you go to pull the rope, and you get this is a nice smooth pull. You see how nice and easy that is to pull? As that pull gets chunkier, as that pull gets harder, it's time for a valve adjustment. If you don't do a valve adjustment, we'll see you in about 400 hours with a catastrophic engine failure, and I want to help you avoid that. Moving down, really not a whole lot to do in the throttle stop switch area, although I will point out that over time, this trigger, the cable that's connected to it, the cable will stretch. And so your pull before it actually engages the throttle of sorts is going to be significantly longer, and you won't hit full RPM. So hidden up inside of that trigger base is a little screw where we can adjust the throttle cable. So if you find that you're not hitting full RPM, that's something you can try yourself. Just give it a little half a turn, 3/4 of a turn, and retension that throttle cable. Right here is going to be the hook where I'm going to hang my strap that came with it. Looking for a little bit more comfort, good to know. 2 screws I can loosen, I can move this handle. Don't be afraid to do that. Find what fits your body. Maybe you're taller, maybe you're shorter, maybe whatever works for you to make this fit your body and be a little more comfortable. Getting down to the working end, on the maintenance side, we have a grease plug right here. This screw will come out, and then we'll have this fancy little tube of grease right here. Super Lube FS, which will screw into here, just like so. I screw it in, I give it a little squeeze, and I twist this head. I give it a little bit more squeeze, twist the head, take it out. This should be done every 50 hours. If you don't, again, around 500 hours will be a catastrophic failure, and you'll need a new gearbox. Doing it right is going to give you a lot longer life of this machine. Optional head. So this is going to have come with the STIHL AutoCut 27-2. We have lots of videos on how to rewind your heads. So I'm going to skip how to rewind this head. But if you want to see what else you can put on there, here's one. We've got the DuraCut 20-2. Some people do not like a bump head, one where I wrap it up and feed it out. Some people just want something simple where I just put in strips of trimmer line. And the DuraCut 20-2 is a great option. It also allows for me to run slightly larger trimmer line. And the other is the PolyCut 28-2. This is going to run the plastic knives, something that holds up well in the heavier, taller grass. And because you step up to a machine that's running a solid steel drive shaft, we can get a blade installation kit. There's some goodies in here. We got a larger deflector. We've got the materials here that are necessary to hold on the blade. and all of a sudden we can get into something that's really going to cut some heavy stuff, like this triangular blade from STIHL, or all kinds of other options on hand at Carl's Mower and Saw. There we go, the STIHL FS91R. Really quickly, what you needed to know for safety, what you need to know on how to start it, how to maintain it, talking about the air filter and the spark plug. I did skip the fuel filter. That's hiding in the tank. Let's remember to throw a new fuel filter in every couple of years. Talked about how to adjust the throttle, doing some adjustments on the handle to make it fit you, and then ultimately got down to the working end to see what options we had to run on it. Enjoy your new STIHL FS91R from Carl's Mower and Saw.